This is going to be a long video, so if you're a horse person, you'll probably like it. If not, maybe you don't want to watch it, because this is for all the people who are wondering how my Region 8 Dressage Championship class went. So if you're one of those people, keep watching. It is the morning after the Region 8 Dressage Championships, and I am sitting back on my deck. I feel happy. I feel worn out from the stress of going to the show and the way it all played out. But I'm happy. I'm happy. I did not get a ribbon in the championship class, but I am so thrilled because there were 38 horses in my class and I came 15th. And I can't believe it. And the 5 ahead of me were all basically the same score as me, just percentage points, you know, a little higher. Like we were all 68. I got 68.017. And the next 5 ahead of me were all 68 point something as well. So, man, I'm really, really happy, because when I tell you that I really was worried that, okay, I'll be back at the bottom of the class again because this is the championships. My trainer had warned me that, you know, the judges are going to be a lot more critical because they have to be, you know, there's a lot of horses that they have to judge for the class. So I really was expecting and a little worried that I would be, you know, last or close to last, because, you know, we're so new to this. This was our 5th ever show. I never expected to be in the championships. You know, to get to the championships, you have to have a score. You have to have 3 scores for the season that are 62 or above. And even though we only did 4 shows, I rode a couple of those shows were 2-day shows, so I rode the test twice. We made it, and because almost all of our scores were, only one I think I ever did that didn't qualify for that. So there we were. And I'm not just saying it like, oh, sure, she's just saying that to pretend humble, you know, really expecting to do, you know, much, much better. But I wasn't expecting that at all. I really, really wasn't. I just didn't want to be embarrassed. In fact, that's what I told my trainer when I was last at her place for a training session. I said, you know, I just don't want to be embarrassed. Fine, stay there. I guess the way to begin this is that this championship didn't end up to be anything like I expected, from the social aspect and the horse aspect of it. You know, as you've seen from my past videos, we come up to these big shows at Hits with my trainer and, you know, her other clients, and she's riding several of her horses. And it's just a much bigger group. And I thought, oh, the championships, that's going to be just like that, only bigger, you know, everything's bigger. Well, it would have been, except for the fact that, you know, life intervened the way it does. About 8 weeks ago, she had a health thing come up that all of a sudden required emergency surgery, and a pretty major emergency surgery that, you know, fortunately has resolved it, and she will make 100% recovery. But the result of that meant that she couldn't ride. She couldn't ride, she couldn't train. I mean, she literally was out of commission. So I wasn't having lessons, which isn't, you know, a terrible thing, because she's given us the tools to work on, you know, what we need to work on, and I wasn't going to be changing anything. I just needed to work on my test and make sure it was its best. And I'm certainly capable of doing that. I have my own ring here at home. But it's subject to other things, like, well, for one thing, I decided to take Max's shoes off. And I knew it was only 8 weeks before the finals, and it was in August, so not the best time to do it, but I have boots, and, you know, I knew I could get him through it, but it meant that I couldn't ride him for about 8 days. So it was a long story to explain that I didn't ride him at all for about 8 days, almost 2 weeks. I missed out of riding of these 8 weeks leading up to the championships. And we were, you know, getting a little rusty, but then also between the riding, we had the weather. I mean, God, the weather. The rain. I mean, what's with the rain? And when it, rain is one thing. My ring is not the best to ride in when it's too wet. So, but it usually only takes like a day after a heavy rain and I can ride again. Okay, give it to me. It's wet. Go away. Go. Shadow. Drop. He won't give it to me. He wants me to throw it, but he won't give it to me. Do you have a dog like that? Give me the... Can I have it at least? No? No. Yeah, so after heavy rain, it takes about a day and then I can ride in my ring again. Well, not after these rains. Practically ruined my ring a few times, so it would take days before I could ride. So that was holding me back from riding. And then of course I was going back to work, so I had actually rehearsals and different things and places I had to be, and actually going to work. So that I lost a bunch of days there. So we were getting, both Max and I got fatter and more out of shape. Instead of getting thinner and stronger and better shape for the finals, we were going the other way. But we worked hard, really hard, the last week's time leading up to the show. And my trainer was finally back doing lessons again.
So that's a better frame. Hold her just a little bit. Good. Yep, a little bit that reaching, there you go, that reaching feeling. Good, that was a good corner. I think that you're guiding him. Nice. Feel a channel on both sides, because every turn, every change of direction is a distraction, right? It's a transition. And a place for Max to get a little distracted. Sit heavy. Nice, very nice. Stay heavy. Good, good, good. Remember your transition down here, right? Think you can do it whenever you want, okay? Not when Max wants. Perfect, organize. Yep, so but then the second you land and trot, ride your trot. Good. That's better in the neck here. Good. Down and heavy channel, two sides of him. The corner, whatever it is, that's how you're going to feel a little bit better channel from him, and coordination and organization. Feel it, you say, okay, I got to finish that step. That's a good one. That's a good one. But if it's only a little.
She was teaching again, so I finally got a lesson in on the Sunday before the show. That's kind of the story of how much training we got in. It was very inconsistent. And took a little bit of tuning up just to try to get back to kind of where we were. So I was a little nervous because of that, but okay, a lot nervous. And then the time for the show came, and leading up to it, I was really bummed because there wasn't going to be that many people there. Courtney wasn't going to be able to ride. My trainer would have been riding at least 3 horses, I think. And then a couple of the people who were going to show decided not to, and it was just down to me. And then Tracy, who you've seen in the videos, she rides that big, beautiful black horse in the high level. I think she made the championship class for Prix St. George.
You gotta fix it?
No, I gotta fix it.
I said I have the ability to fix it.
So it's going to be a pretty pathetic video I'm going to be making for this trip, but I'm trying. So far it's been nothing but swearing, and what else could go wrong? And so she was going to come, and then her daughter also made it. Charlotte, young Charlotte, cute girl. Yep, Charlotte was going to ride her horse Benny, really cute. Welsh, section D.
Over level
And what test are you riding?
1-3.
1-3?
Yeah.
And today, tomorrow, or when are you riding? Well, no, when are you riding them?
I'm riding every single.
This was a 4-day show, 4 days of showing. I mean, it's the championship classes. There were championship classes each day, but there were also just classes that aren't considered championships. Would go every single day. We made the plan. We're going to bring up Tracy's and Charlotte's horses And I was going to drive up with Max on the Wednesday because you go up the night before to get the horses stabled in, get all your gear in. And then that's the day you can ride in your ring, the ring you've been assigned to. They're mini rings. So you get to go ride in them, get your horse used to that. And then the weather happened again. Another tropical kind of storm coming through, and Wednesday was beautiful, but Thursday and Friday were just not looking good. 1 to 2 inches of heavy rain and flood watch. And those rings, when they get really wet, are slippery. I was going to ride both Thursday and Friday, ride 2 classes of my training level 3 to use them as a prep for my championship class, which is on Saturday. Well, this is the start. Sadly, we are not having good weather. Are you ready, Max? Huh? Are you ready? Come on, buddy. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the weather. Saturday for the championships is supposed to be good. But tomorrow and the next day, Thursday, Friday, it's supposed to be raining, showers off and on. I have 2 classes, so not really sure what I'm going to be doing. Hi, Eddie. Give these guys an apple. Max is hiding out there. He knows what that trailer means. Come on, Max. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come. Come on. Yeah, come on. Up, up, up. Good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy. I'm on the road, kind of a nervous wreck at this moment. My stomach feels sick. I don't like this weather. It's not hot, but it's really humid. Because it's going to be showers off and on apparently for the next couple of days. Not so much today, but starting maybe tonight. I had to put my phone down because there's a cop sitting right there. See me vlogging. I know, it's dangerous. It's going to be a very different experience than what I had thought, you know. There's be a lot more horses in our barn. A lot of horses will be there, but not anybody that I know. Oh well, it is what it is. Just got to take it one step at a time. So far, Max is traveling okay. He's eating his hay. This sucks. I guess it's construction, but there's a long stretch of crawling traffic, which I don't need. Not with a horse in the back. Oh, why can't things be simple? Yeah, this is how fast I'm going. Or should I say, this is how I'm crawling. Ah! Finally here, 36 minutes later than I should have been. That's how long that traffic jam took. Well, so far the show is nothing as I hoped. It's so humid. Not that hot, it's just so humid. So you drink. Drink plenty. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. Don't get me wet.
Get on just to see what he's like.
They have a big sound system that was playing music, pop music, you know, while everyone was riding around, which was kind of fun, but I thought I'd rather make a video that doesn't get these copyright claims against them all the time, so I'm just taking the sound out here. You can see he's pretty fresh, and lots of horses going around, and just trying to get him relaxed and get him used to this ring. These are the two best rings, I think. Ring 2 and Ring 3 were side by side, and Ring 2 is the one where I would be doing the championship test, and I've actually ridden a test in this ring once before at another show when I was here. I like this ring, and so does my trainer. It's her favorite ring. But I just wanted to get him used to it and have a good ride on him. And we do have our headsets on, and Courtney's actually coaching me eventually, you know, after he settled down a bit. She started to help me and coach a little bit as well. But again, the music's playing, so I just didn't want that on there. I also didn't like a particular song that was playing at this moment. But then they played a Lady Gaga song, and that was fun. It was fun to ride around listening to Lady Gaga. You see lots of nice horses. There were lots of horses playing up in the excitement of the atmosphere. Saw some rearing and some bucking. And it's funny because, you know, everyone's out there, and a lot of people have their coach, and everybody has these ear things in like we did. And so you'll see some person standing off of themselves on the side, just seemingly talking to themselves, but they're actually talking to their student or their rider.
Such big, brave boys with all this scary stuff. Hi, Shar. You got this, Max. You got this, Max.
My first test was going to be in the morning at about 8:30 on Thursday. And I was going to stay because we all had hotels up there, but then they decided they were not going to stay. They only came up to do the warm-up, and then Tracy's championship test was going to be on Friday. And so their plan was to go back and watch the weather, and if the weather looked okay, then come up Friday morning. So I just made the call because my trailer was still hooked up to my truck. I hadn't brought it over to where you park the trailers, and I just thought, you know, I don't want to be stuck here either. I don't want Max stuck in a stall. It's like a prison cell where they can't stick their heads out by himself. No other horses that he knows, because he kind of knows the horses from the barn when we come to these shows now. There's in our little block of stalls, there would be no one. Even across from him, he couldn't even see a horse. I just didn't want to do that to him. And my trainer had said to me if I was going to stay and show that morning at 8:30, she was going to come all the way, drive almost 2 hours just to come up for my little training level 3 test to support me. I didn't want her doing that, not with, you know, everything, you know, she's still healing, and I'm trying to get her energy and strength back. I didn't want to do that. So we packed up and I went home as well. Well, not the day we planned so far, not the show we've planned so far. Today we all did our practice rides, got to ride in the rings that we're going to be working in. Had a, you know, pretty good ride on Max. It was a little spooky. It's a much heightened atmosphere, but it's also this stupid weather system coming through. It's whipping flags around, and it's windier, and because I'm all red because I didn't get off a horse that long ago. We just decided to go back tonight. I was supposed to show tomorrow morning, but it's supposed to be bad rain tomorrow, and it's really a question about whether or not the rings will be dry enough, because they just, if there's too much rain, they're slippery, and that it's not good. So I'll be sleeping in my own bed tonight. At least that's a plus. And then the rain came through, and then we all had made a plan. I was looking at the weather, and we made a plan that we were going to come up Friday morning, because my test that day was at just before 2, and her championship class was around that time, Tracy's. So Courtney, my trainer, texted me to say, yep, we're going to head up as well. We're all going to head up at 9:30, back up there. And then just before I was going to leave, I got a text saying that Tracy had decided not to go. So that meant her and Charlotte with their horses weren't coming. Because, and I don't blame her at all, because, when you do the Grand Prix or the Prix St. George, all those higher levels, you're doing a lot of complicated movements where the horse is really powering underneath itself, really pushing around into tight turns and all that. Really doing extended trots, extended canters, and if you hit a bad spot, you can slip. And you can have a horse take a bad step, strain a ligament. It happens all the time. And she just made the call, she didn't want to chance it, which is, it's because you love your horse. There's some people who love the sport, they don't love their horse, and they will push them too far, take chances with them, and she wasn't going to do that, so I don't blame her at all. I just meant that, it's just me. I am the last team standing for CBD dressage. Just me and my old me and young Max. But I decided, okay, well, I'm going to do it myself, and this time I had gone to the store, bought a few more things that I needed, because last time every time I'd been to these shows up there, Courtney and David had brought everything up in the stall, the tack stall, everything was prepped. There was somebody there to help, there was somebody there to clean, there was somebody there to tack up with you, someone there, all the tools you needed. So I made sure I had everything and headed up. And the weather was fortunately gorgeous. The rings were a little wet, but the thing for Max and I is that when you do, these lower levels, the trickiest thing you had to do was canter into a corner. Make that tighter turn, because you're supposed to be a little more in the corner at a couple of the canter spots, and so that wasn't too risky for us. So I headed up, and I set up my little tack stall. I had 4 stalls all to myself. It's pretty funny. It's my sort of pathetic tack room area compared to last time. It's just me. But I did buy some supplies, so it's good. Max, leave your friend alone. Max. And my test was going to be at a little before 2. So I was really happy, even though I had said to my trainer, Courtney, you don't need to come up. I mean, I hate making you guys drive all the way up here, because they're farther even than I am from the place. It's about an hour and a half for me. I think it's maybe an hour 45 or something like that for them, maybe even longer. But bless their hearts, Courtney and David both came up. She coached me. I got Max ready, and then I had my class. It was training level class, and I think there were 15 horses in it, and he was so tense because she had said this is a little bit bigger environment. It's not hot anymore. The weather was gorgeous, so the horses are fresher, because the last times I've been up there was hot as hell. And this was a beautiful day, and he was pretty fresh and pretty tense. He's okay in the warm-up, but much more tense for himself, not really wanting to go up in the air rather than forward, and kind of halty. Not really his normal self. So I thought, anyway, but we did the test, and it felt horrible, because he was just like, he wasn't really moving, he wasn't stretching. His stretchy trot looked like his normal trot. He didn't do a stretch down in the walk. He was very, very tense, but he did the pattern, and he didn't do anything bad. So I was really happy, and I just thought, I got a 62 for that, which is still even a qualifying score for the championships. I was surprised I had that. I was expecting something in the 50s. There's an awful lot of wind noise in the microphone from the iPhone that's recording. Courtney's actually recording this, but so I'm just going to do a voiceover for you. So as soon as the horse before you has done their final salute, you're allowed to go in and start riding around the ring. And then when you hear either a horn or a whistle, then you have 45 seconds to go down the center line. And I'm just trying to get him to relax because this is ring 6. And my trainer had warned me that this is the scariest ring because it has these hills they've built up on either side. And the main drag is right there to my left. And there's all kinds of stuff going by it. Like you saw a golf cart go, lots of people driving golf carts. And he wants to look. So here we are coming down center line. Not too badly. Fairly straight. Not the best stop. Not terrible, but not the best. Heading straight to the judge. You can see he's just tight. He's a little tight. And looking. Every time I would head anywhere in the direction to my left that you're seeing there along that road, he would put his head up and completely forget about me. And even the other side also has a bank because there's another ring, just like this one, on the other side behind a bank. So they see the ears of the other horses. And so there's just so much to look at. And here he is just looking. And you really want the ears to be neutral. And once in a while, one ear may be flicking back, meaning they're listening to you. And his ears were, every time we turned toward that one side, he just was looking over there. You can see how he stiffens up, lifts the head, and everything gets stiffer. That canter depart wasn't terrible. And there he goes to look again. Not a very good corner, not a very good transition, everything is stiff. And when they're stiff, they're harder to ride. As far as like sitting on them, their back's not as soft because they're not using the back like a springboard under you. It's just sort of harder and more stiff. He always does a fairly decent collected walk, or working walk, whatever you call it. And here he's supposed to be stretching down and out, and instead he just wants to look. He's stretching a little, but he won't put his head down because he wants to see the road. He wants to see the activity going on over there. But all in all, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. We hadn't been now to a show since July. Oh, I don't know why he did that. He never does that. He like almost spooked into his trot. Again, I just distracted and looking at everything that's going on around it, which is the reason I wanted to do the 2 tests, one on Thursday morning and this one on the Friday, because I wanted to use them as the practice warm-ups for the championship. So thank God I got this one in, because I think we got a lot of the willies out, a lot of the looky-loos. And here he bucks in a little bit into the canter. And I almost started laughing out loud, because that's what I do at home. Every time he does little kickouts or bucks like that, I laugh. And so I had a big, huge smile on my face, and I almost laughed out loud. And I thought, no, you can't do that. So this is not a very good canter, but a little better here. But it's just inconsistent. The whole test is stiff and inconsistent. And that transition down was very stiff. And now he's supposed to do this 20-meter trot, 20-meter circle in the middle there with a stretchy trot, and putting his head down and out. And here he's finally trotting exactly like he should have been trotting for the entire test. And instead he's calling this his stretchy trot. That's how tense he was. But we didn't do any major mistakes, and he basically did the pattern, so I was happy because he felt really out of sorts and stiff the whole warm-up, kind of leading into it. He wasn't himself. So all in all, my little baby horse didn't do too badly. I can't believe we got a ribbon. We got 8th place. I can't believe it. I actually got a ribbon. They give ribbons out to 8th place. So I got a ribbon for that class. And yeah, he was definitely looking around, you know, the whole time through the test, but important thing is we did it. And then Courtney and David drove back home, and I stayed with Max in the barn. I made friends with a young girl next to me. She was there with her horse and her dad. It was so cute. It made me wish I was a teenager again, and because my dad would have been doing this with me because he loves horses as much as I do. And I was thinking, oh, that would have been cool. I could do this all over again. You know, my dad would have been my hands-on guy right there with me. So I hung out with him till about 7:30. Hung out with Max in the barn as long as I could, just be there for him. And he was wired up at times. He was jumping around a little bit in his stall every time someone would drive. He had a window to the outside he could see out, and that's where he could drive through. And every now and then, someone would come through with something, and he would. So he's a little bit wound up, but eventually just put him to bed and went and checked into my hotel and tried to go to sleep. Hello, everyone. Here I am back at the Holiday Inn Express in Saugerties, New York. Back for the championships. The ring was okay. We did our practice test. I mean, it was a class, but I wanted to use it as a practice for tomorrow's championship class. And he did okay. We came 8th, so I was surprised. You know, that I thought, you know, I could be last. So we got a ribbon. They gave 8th place ribbons. So yeah, he was tense, but he did all the movements. He stayed in, you know, the pattern and started and stopped in mostly the right places. So overall, I was relieved. Got the nerves out on this one, and hopefully we'll be better, you know, tomorrow. Weather's supposed to still be good. It was, you know, so nice not to have it to be 1,000 degrees here. The thing that feels actually nice is that I don't feel like I don't belong in this, like, you know, like I shouldn't be taking this little half-breed horse to these dressage shows. He does belong here. He does look good. He can move, and he is representing himself well. So I don't feel embarrassed. I feel like, okay, we can do this. We belong here. I hope I can be good enough for him. He has some potential, probably more than me. You have to work hard to ride better. So, you know, he's getting there. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to next season because we'll have all winter long to just keep working and keep getting better. Anyway, that's the story. And I was tired. I had gotten up pretty early to load up that morning and get everything prepped. And you know, when you're doing all this yourself, it's not easy because Max he's good under Saddlebred. He's so ADD when you have him try to tie him to the side of the stall to work on him, get him ready. He's just doesn't stand still. You watch other people braiding their horses' manes, and their horses just like this, asleep practically, and they're just standing there doing these braids where I am just fighting with him the whole time. And his mane is so thick that I have to do twice as many braids as other people because he didn't get the saddlebred side of the mane. Like Eddie, my other horse is half saddlebred, half percher, and he has a big, thick, drafty tail, which is beautiful, but he has a nice, thin, soft mane. Where Max has also the big, beautiful tail, but he's got the big, thick Friesian mane, which would grow really, really long if I let it, which is really hard to keep the braids in. So I literally have to do twice as many braids, and it takes forever because he just doesn't want to stand still. Hopefully he'll get better one day. I'm exhausted and stressed out by the time I finish braiding him. Anyway, so after a long day of doing stuff, it's a lot. And I slept. And I woke up at 3:30. And I could not go back to sleep after that. I just decided to get up and go to the showgrounds because I just couldn't sleep anymore. So I left before even breakfast was put out at the hotel. They don't put it out till 6. So I got over there, and it was still dark practically when I pulled in. It was dark. Yeah, actually it was dark when I pulled into the barn. Well, I gotta pause the story because I gotta go get some more tea. There he is, the boy. I'll show you. Beautiful Maxie. The first thing I did is I got him out of the stall. Rocky, quit whining. Shadow has the ball. Yeah, because he's not used to being locked up in a stall. He is used to just the freedom to go in and out and be with other horses. So it's not easy for him. So I took him out and hand walked him. They have a nice track. You can walk all the way around this huge facility, through the woods, over a bridge. Sorry I didn't bring my phone. I didn't get any video of that. I didn't get a lot of video of this whole thing, but I tried. Just hand grazed him for a long time. I did that for about an hour, and then by that point I was hungry. I went to the cafeteria and I bought a breakfast sandwich, which was really good. Bacon, egg, and sausage on a roll. Very good. Nothing like sitting on a nice covered patio watching horses, watching riders training, because the classes are already going on. They started, I think, at 8, I think was the beginning. And it was about 3 hours before my test. So then in typical fashion, I had all the time in the world, and then it gets down to the last 3 hours, and then it feels like, oh my God, I have not enough time to do all this. So I went back and I started the braiding, which again was an absolute nightmare. I feel like it took me an hour to braid this mane. That was just to get the braids. I wasn't rolling them up yet. I waited to the last minute to do that because I could shake those out easier. He was horrible. He'd had enough of the stall. I want him to take a nap. Take a nap. And then I got myself ready, because that's the thing, you know, I had nobody to help me, and he had to be tied to the side of the stall, and he's dancing around the whole time. So my test for the championships was at 1:07. That's my ride time, and I had told my trainer I wanted to be up riding him about an hour beforehand so I could do lots of walking and stretching him out. And they showed up about an hour and a half before my test. Courtney and David came with a box of mini Dunkin' Donuts, donut holes for me. Thank you, David. I think that was probably your idea, so thank you. But I couldn't eat any at that point. I said, I'm gonna have these after the ride because right now I'm sick to my stomach. I'm getting so nervous. You know, because I knew we weren't as prepped as we could have been for this show, and because he was so tense, you know, the day before, I was definitely nervous. It felt like the big leagues, you know. Got on him about an hour beforehand and went to our warm-up ring. And David and Courtney were there with me, and she was coaching me. We had our, you know, earpieces in, and I was the class was huge. Like, there were over 40, close to 50 something horses initially, some scratched. So the total number by the end of the horses that actually went was 38. So that's a lot of horses. They've been going from the morning all the way through until 4 o'clock with 2 breaks. I think 2 half-hour breaks. That's how many horses were in the class. It took so long. And we were the first one into the warm-up ring because we were the first rider to go after the lunch break. So we had the warm-up ring to ourselves for a while, and then slowly others started coming in. So he started out raring. That day he felt completely different than he had the day before. This day he was forward, which is fun. It's fun to ride a forward horse, but then you have to try to get him to relax and stretch down and move out. He warmed up pretty well. We took the full time to do it, and then it was our time. This is the warm-up ring right next to the ring. You're allowed, one horse is allowed in there while the other one is doing their test. So I worked a lot on just making him walk and relax at this point because we'd already done all our warming up in the other ring. I just wanted him to stretch and relax because I knew how important those scores were. Here I'm doing it again. I'm trying to get him just to relax, giving lots of pats like I do at home. So there are 2 judges. I've only ever been judged by one judge at C. And normally a training level doesn't have two judges, but the championships, it's kind of a bigger event. So I'm just riding around the outside of the ring waiting for the horn. This ring had a horn, the ring next to us has a whistle, just so you don't get confused. And she rang the horn here. So I rang the horn, blew the horn. So I turned around, because you don't want to be late. You only have 45 seconds. And here we go. He did a really nice center line. We actually got an 8 from the judge at C for this. Unfortunately, the horse ahead of me blocked Courtney where she's sitting on the wall filming. But it was a little crooked, but not bad. And then the horse in front of her blocked her, so she lost the rest of that center line. Not the biggest, stretchiest trot, or forward trot, but not bad. And this blew me away. We got a 7 for that trot, and then this is the start of the first serpentine. And again, the judge at C gave us an 8. I was blown away. The other judge gave us a 7, so both got high marks for this particular serpentine. And the serpentine is the new event that is added for this test, so it's really important. It's a double score. And we got an 8. Pretty exciting. It looks really nice there, and that's not a bad counter to part. This first counter actually was really, really good the whole way through. Stayed fairly uphill, stayed on the bit, stayed fairly steady. The circle was nice and round. And if only I would have just prepared the downward trot transition earlier, it would have been even smoother. He was a little abrupt because I'm always worried about him. He knows it's coming, so that wasn't that great, but all in all, that was really nice. He generally always does a good medium walk, and now we're coming to do our extended, and it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was better than the day before. Much, much better. There's where it's supposed to be. It's where it's supposed to stay. He starts to curl his head and fuss a little bit, but there he does it again. But for the most part, it was much better. And again, that's a double mark, so very important. This wasn't the best coming back together for the medium walk, but better than he's done in the past. Sorry the booth is blocking some of this, but now we're doing our second serpentine, which was not as good as this first one, but he bends better to the left than he does to the right. He's stiffer on... Actually, no, maybe it's the other way. I can't remember at the moment. Anyway, it was not bad, but it wasn't as good. And this part wasn't bad either. Head came up a little more this time, but not terrible. Yeah, this is the direction actually that he doesn't turn as well. He's stiff on the right side of his body, so he doesn't bend it as easily. It's looking okay though. Not a bad transition. But now is where we're coming to the stretchy trot, and unfortunately that's the one part of our test that we didn't do well. And because it's a double score, it really hurt us. We got a 5 from one judge and a 5.5 from the other, and it's because he didn't do it. Normally he puts his head down and out and is inconsistent but fairly good for most of the circle, and on this day he just didn't want to do it really. He did it better than he had done the day before, but it really wasn't good. And that's a shame because he really did such a nice test. And coming in for the last bit. Not as good as when we came in, but still decent. Got a 7 and a one judge and a 6.5 from the other.
Yay, Max.
So I was really happy, very happy with my boy.
And in ring 3, our next entry will be number 455, Jennifer Marchand and Mario H.I. USDF Grand Prix Championship.
You did it.
We would have actually done really, really well overall because we did great throughout the whole test. If he just would have stretched down, he put his neck out, but he really didn't stretch out, do it anywhere near as well as he normally does. But he at least stretched down fairly well for the walk and somewhat better for the stretchy trot. But those two are very important marks, and that's the one spot that got us from I think placing higher and possibly getting a ribbon. But it's okay. I mean, overall the test was great. I mean, the judge at C gave us 2 8s. We got an 8 for our center line. We got an 8 for, I think, a serpentine. I mean, I was shocked. Lots of 8s, lots of 7s. So I couldn't believe it. But I didn't know at the time. I thought, okay, we're doing okay. And I know in the warm-up ring, you know, in the headpiece, I was talking to my trainer, and she said, okay, you go in second. You're the second rider after the break. You follow the bay over there. And I look at this horse, and it's like the most beautiful horse in the riders that were in the warm-up at the time. And I said, oh, great, I got to follow the best-looking horse in here. We actually beat that horse by 5 points. I couldn't believe that. So I was back at the barn just, you know, prepping stuff, and she texted me to say I got a 68, and I literally got goosebumps because I couldn't believe that. It's my personal best. The highest score I've ever gotten with all my tests here, I think, is 66.154. I think that's my highest score. I got a 68.017. You could have knocked me over. Yeah, I'm still kind of like, wow, who would have thought? I felt so out of practice, out of shape, in a tough class with 2 judges, with people that were, the qualifiers from Region 8. I thought, no way, we're going to be close to the bottom. Never in a million years did I expect us to do our personal best, to get a 68, and place 15th out of 38 horses. I beat 23 other people. I've kind of, as you see, I'm kind of stumbling from my words. Even still this morning, I'm so surprised, really. But you know what? It's a testament to my horse, because I thought he had ability when I got him, when I saw him even, just a picture of him, and saw a video, and I got him home and started hanging around about, I think this little guy could do some dressage, and then just fate brought me back together with my old friend and trainer, Courtney Bollender, and the day we met at that Home Depot, and I said to her, well, I got this young horse, I think he could do a little dressage. It's a testament to him. He has some talent for it, and the judges like him, The judges are human, and we all have our types that we like, and types of horses that we like, and I think for the most part the judges really seem to like him. They like his movement, and then it's a true testament to my trainer Courtney, because we've only been doing this for a relatively short period of time with a new young horse, and I'm not educated in dressage. Yes, I've ridden all my life, but I don't know dressage. I only knew from watching and reading and doing a smidgen of it in the past, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I still don't really know what I'm doing, but she's a really good trainer and incrementally helped us train to this point. to get so that we could do, we could do this. So thank you, Courtney. I told you after my very first show, it was a dream, a lifelong dream, to be able to actually go to a dressage show and ride in a test with my own horse. And I have actually achieved that in my very first season. And I actually made it into the championships, and I came close to actually placing and getting a ribbon. See, and I did get a ribbon for the show. So this, in my opinion, might as well be a blue ribbon for the championship class, because that's what I feel. I really feel that way. Very, very happy and really excited for next year, and to keep improving and just see how far we can go. Well, then I was so relieved. All the stress and worry was gone. I felt so happy about what we had done. I felt happy that we decided to come back up to do the show, because it was iffy, with the weather and the ring having been flooded. We thought maybe I won't come back either, but I decided to go for it, and the weather was absolutely gorgeous. Couldn't have been nicer, actually. But Tracy did make, I think, the right call with her horse, because I saw a horse that had fallen. I didn't see it actually fall, but I saw it standing by the ring steward with its rider, and its friend was holding the horse, and she was talking to the ring steward, and they were asking about something, maybe about I hope it wasn't about where there was a vet, because the horse looked okay. I saw it walk off. It didn't look lame or anything, but it was covered in mud on the one side, dirt, so I know it. And she said, we slipped. I heard her say that, because there were a few puddles and places that people were riding around in different rings. So I think, Tracy should feel good that she probably made the right call for her horse. It's not worth it. Anyway, I felt very happy, calm, and relieved, and happy to be there, and because there was a possibility that we were going to place, because they give ribbons up to 8th place, and I stayed in. First, I kept watching, because the show, my class kept going all the way until past 4 o'clock, and it's mandatory that you have to stay for the ribbon ceremony. So, but I wanted to stay anyway, because I wanted to get my written test so I could read the comments, because that's the fun part of this. Well, one of the fun parts. The whole time I was in the warm-up ring, I hadn't had any water with me, and you get a little dry, because the weather was dry and clear, and I was riding around, and I felt very dry all of a sudden, and all I could think about in the warm-up was, I just would kill for a beer right now. So that's what I did after my ride. I put Max away, got out of my sweaty clothes, and I went and got a beer, and I took my donut holes, and I went up on the bleachers, and I sat and I watched more tests go by, and I had my thing watching the scores as they come in. I was counting, and about, I guess, 3/4 of the way through the class, I was in 7th place. I'm thinking, wow, I might actually get a ribbon. So I kept watching, but then I'd see a new horse come in. Oh, they're going to beat me. But then it would go in, and I thought, oh, that's a better trot than Max is doing right now. That's a much better candidate. But they would screw up in little things that really knock your score down. There's just little things here and there, and as you're watching, you realize, okay, I guess that's why their score didn't come higher, because I'd watch them, then their score would come through, and I'd be like, oh, I'm still there. But then I was in 8th, and it was the last horse before the break that knocked me out of a placing. But then I was like, okay, well, now I can go and start packing up, but I still got to wait. It's almost a relief in some ways, so now I can relax. Oh, that was another fun part for me, which is silly, is that because this is a bigger class, they have an announcer. So when I finished my test, they announced, that was contestant, listen to me, entry number 478. I think they said the horse first, or my name first. I know Maximus of Kashmir with owner rider Linda Eder. They said Linda Eder. No big surprise, because that's what I've been called since I was a little kid. Kids would call me Eder, and when people would read my name, they'd think it was pronounced Eder. I've heard that all my life, so Linda Eder. But here I am. I get announced all the time as I walk on stage. For thousands of people, I've heard my name. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Linda Eder. What is the most thrilling thing in my life recently was to hear my name at a horse show, and to hear my horse's name over the loudspeaker. Isn't that silly? But it's the truth. It was thrilling for me. The scores were going to take a while to come in, because like I said, it was a huge class, 38 different riders, and you had to wait because, I wanted to get my test. And we weren't going to be able to get our test till like 5, almost 5:30. So I timed it all to go and packed stuff up. And Max, I think he thought I was going to leave him there because he was so wound up the whole time. I was making these trips back and forth to my truck. And every time I'd bring out a load of stuff, he would be flying around in the stall like, don't leave me. And I got my score, test sheets, and loaded him up, and then we drove home. And it was still daylight, which was great. It was dark by the time I got home, but I got him home in the dark, put his boots back on him, put him in the stall, fed everybody, cleaned my barn because Jake didn't do any cleaning while I was gone. So I had almost 2 days of horse presents to clean up. That was a job. Did all that and then unpacked my trailer. Then came up, cleaned myself up. Poured myself I had a little bit left of that sweet wine, the white wine from the other vlog. Crawled into bed with my little bit of wine. And man, that was nice because I was tired by the end of that day. All the stresses and pressures and everything of a very, very long day, having gotten up at 3:30 in the morning, basically. Yeah, it was a good day though. And today is beautiful again, beautiful weather. So I thought it'd be nice to tell the story out here on my deck. And so again, it wasn't the finals or the championships that I was expecting overall as far as the experience. But it was a good experience. It really was. I love horses. I love horses and dogs. But I like people too. Because people helped me get here. So again, thank you, Courtney Bolander. Thank you, David Odell. Wouldn't have been the same without you guys. It was great to have my own little cheering section. Great to have my coach, my trainer. Great to have those donut holes because man, they were good with that beer. So nice to see Max out there enjoying the pasture because he's earned it. There she comes, little fatty. Go run around about 20 more times, Breeze.